The breeze took the clouds all away. It swept the sky like a broom and got ready for a very special day. This is a very special time. Show me a hill I can climb. Give me a mountain to move, and I'll prove that it's a very special day. I woke up early this morning with gloom on my head. Had a big feeling to climb back in bed. Then I looked in the mirror and somebody said, wake up, wake up. It's time for you to lose the blues, and this is a very special treat. Tell it to everyone you meet that life is all for living and love is all for giving. So this is a very special day. Tell it to everyone along the way that this is a very special day. I woke up early this morning with gloom on my head. Had a big feeling to climb back in bed. Then I looked in the mirror and somebody said, wake up, wake up. It's time for you to lose the blues, and this is a very special treat. Tell it to everyone you meet that life is all for living and love is all for giving. So this is a very special day. Tell it to everyone along the way that this is a very special day.
A very special day we do have. It's a wonderful Wednesday, a wacky Wednesday. Middle of the week, hump day, getting over the week, getting closer to the weekend. That means my partner in crime, my co-host this morning, is Bradley Gilbert. Good morning, Bradley.
Good morning, Becky.
Happy Wednesday, right?
Happy Wednesday, absolutely.
Yeah. And in the hot seat, we've not seen her in here in a minute, been missing her for Education Wednesday. We do have our own principal for the middle school at Eastern School Corporation, Amber King. Good morning, Amber.
Good morning, Becky.
Looking very nice. I love that turquoise.
Thank you.
Very pretty. Very pretty.
Good morning.
So this is radio when I didn't describe you. Oh, yes, you too, Bradley. You look fantastic over there, too.
Okay.
Good morning, you're gray.
It's green.
Green? Is it green?
Yes.
You know what? We
It's
had
green.
the biggest decision, or biggest discussion, decision. The other day, because Sally Sue, one of my daughters, had on a gray-green sweatshirt. And I called it gray. And there was somebody else thought green, and then everybody else thought gray. I mean, gray, green.
This is a heathered gray green, so you're good with gray. Works too. Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, good morning. Okay. All right, let's take our sponsor, Bradley.
All right, we've got Walmart, Meadowview, Salem Crossing, Hoosier Uplands, Kentucky Cat and Core Recycling, Dr. Black's Eye Associates, Dr. Mindy Gunn, and Celebrity Home Loans.
Yay, thank you for that. All right, wonderful. I do want to say they're still going strong. They started yesterday. The Indiana State Department of Health Washington is at the Washington County Fairgrounds today, going on through Thursday, the 21st, for the COVID testing. They also have the Johnson & Johnson and Pfizer vaccinations available for those interested in receiving a vaccination. They'll be from 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. You have time to get the shower. Each day, appointments are not necessary, but are encouraged. An appointment can be made at www.coronavirus.indiana.gov.
Yep.
And high school football, Bradley, you have been right there involved in that. Sitting out there shivering, right?
Absolutely.
Tonight we'll have McCoach's Night on WSLM, sponsored by our own McDonald's. I'm loving it. We'll have Purdue football show at 6:05, followed by our local Coach's Corner show. And then, of course, Inside IU with Tom Allen, hosted by our own friend Don Fisher at 8:05. High school football sectionals are Friday night. Salem travels to South Ridge. West Washington plays Rock Creek at home, and Eastern plays Trenton Central at home. And Hoosiers welcome Ohio State this Saturday to a sold-out Memorial Stadium. Wisconsin will play at Purdue this Saturday. So
All right. Friday Night Lights, yeah. Good luck to all 3 of the county schools.
Absolutely. So can you tell a little bit of a difference in the air? Amber, have you been going to the football games too?
Absolutely. My son's a sophomore, so he plays. So yes, I'm at all the football games.
Yeah. It's getting a little cooler, guys, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
it's harder to root on that team. When
Yeah, Friday night, I think the high's 58.
Yeah.
Bring out a
And yeah.
sleeping bag from cold baseball season or something.
Yes,
To get
yes.
through Friday
Now,
night.
Amber,
Yes.
do you have one of those tents that are like plastic you can get in? Have you
No.
seen those little
Oh.
tents?
I talk too much. Nobody can get in there with me. So I
I'm right there with you on that. It's like, no, wait a minute.
I have one of those sleeping bags that the bottom unzips so your feet can stick out. It's got little zippers for your hands to stick out the front. It's the greatest thing ever. $40 on Amazon.
See, all right. See, I'm there. No, that's absolutely good. Yeah,
Professional
that's
sports
great.
mom.
That is, that's great. Yeah.
That takes it to a whole nother level. Look at that.
But
I'm like,
yeah,
I was gonna say a blanket and
Yeah.
hot chocolate. Amber, my
well,
goodness.
yeah. A couple of other parents for that are kids on Grayson's team, they've got those and they take those to games, and it's pretty interesting. But there's a little bit. I'm with you though. It's just like I feel isolated, you know. And that guy over there in the bubble. Hey, don't feed the animals.
Seinfeld bubble boy.
Yeah.
That's so bad.
But yeah. So, but we've had pretty good weather, other than last Friday night when we got a little bit of rain. But there's nothing. Yeah. So, but
Well,
yeah.
we're supposed to be getting some rain coming in this weekend, and that's gonna drop it. How low can we go?
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh well, we're not complaining, only explaining.
Right.
And it's the way we roll, and it's football, so that's good. Okay, definitely. So, all right, let's talk Bradley real quick. I got to get an update with you. I called you Monday about this
Okay.
catch-up, and I just wanted to kind of get an idea of where we're at with that.
We do not have that, and that's actually something that certain retailers got based on the ketchup company,
Okay.
and so we are not one of those. But if you go to some of the larger Walmarts in the Louisville metropolitan area, stop in because they have that.
Very
So,
interesting.
yeah, I'm trying to get my hands on one though. I was trying to work some magic. Every once in a while, I come up with something good. So I reached out to a couple of my peeps and said, "Hey, what's going on with this?" So we're working on trying to get at least one, maybe two.
Get a 20-ounce bottle of Heinz ketchup, and the label says tomato blood. And see, a lot of people use ketchup for blood in Halloween costumes.
Right.
So Heinz, of course, brilliant. Somebody at a marketing meeting, they were sitting there at the table saying, "Hey, let's market that and make tomato blood." So it's called tomato blood, and actually they have a kit, a costume kit for it. But or you can just get the bottle of tomato blood Heinz. So that would be fun for Halloween.
Yeah.
Halloween's on a Saturday, and fun for the kids. It's like, yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
All right, so just I wanted to get an update on that, but we thought it was so funny to call you on Monday and get you out of your office.
Well, I was actually,
Get him on the spot.
yeah. My Mondays, and Becky understands, and most people that know me understand that my Mondays are kind of hectic. You know, there's catch up from literally catch up. Yeah, I was catching up, and we were talking catch up, but it's kind of. But when I saw that you were calling, I'm like, well, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. And some members of the market team were there for a meeting, so I'm like, and you know them, Kim and Kelly and all them, and they were just. I said, oh, Becky White's calling, and oh, you got to answer it. You've got to answer it. So it was fun, and then Mike. We ran into Mike, and he was talking for a while.
He got up from his desk and we went looking on.
Yeah, gave me a reason to walk away for a minute.
All right, so there's an update on that.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump in and so Walmart's got all of your Halloween needs from costumes to decorations to candy. Oh, great prices on candy and everything you need for that.
Yes.
And then playing into, which I love, Thanksgiving. Got all kinds of decorations for that, which I love that.
Yeah.
And then I'm into, for those that want to go ahead and start buying little by little.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing, go to Walmart.com and look for. We've got more information about our events. We're doing multiple events again this year. Again, we're closed on Thanksgiving Day. I'm very proud of that. That our associates are going to get to be with their families the entire day. But we start Friday, November 5th. We're going to have our first in-store event. Starts at 5 a.m. and we're opening early, an hour early for that event. And we found out yesterday that you can go online and look at some of the stuff, but it's going to be focused on electronics and toys and some seasonal stuff like what you would need to decorate your home for the holidays and stuff like that. So it's a big deal. So check that stuff out. And there's some surprises in that. That's from 5 to 2 on November 5th. We kick off our event shopping. And then the next Friday, we're going to do another one. And we're doing that instead of just having like only Black Friday and Black Friday weekend. So pretty cool about that. Oh, and November 5th is our big tire event. So Goodyear tires are going to be $25 and $30 off, free rotation, free balance, all that for lifetime of the tires and things like that. So
Love that.
Yep.
Wonderful. And, go back, and Amber, you've got teeny boppers, so those electronics, you're going to have to keep an eye on those. I'm sure that's going to be something on the list.
Yes.
that can get expensive. That really can.
Well, any more you could save, that's
Yes.
what I love
Yes.
about it. And I love that they are good deals and you can make it affordable.
Mhm.
That's a blessing for sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, we're very excited about that. And of course, every time you say that, I just get so excited.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. They've got the cutest trees already out there and all kinds of cute stuff. Those
Yeah.
little gnomes. And,
Yeah. I love Christmas, but at the same time, I get it. I mean, if we didn't have the Thanksgiving fall stuff out, until after Halloween, we would have those customers and that would get upset. And I do. It kind of makes you a little nicer if you see the Christmas trees come in. You kind of feel like, well, maybe I got to behave
that'd
a
be
little
good,
bit.
no?
But at the same, and I love Christmas. At the same time, it's like, well, I rush it. But I kid you not, if we had Christmas trees out in March and April, there would be people buying Christmas stuff. I mean, it's just, there's.
Well, for those, but here's what I say, like for that, maybe somebody just got married this year who's not bought, stuff, and if you can buy it little by little, not all at once, you can afford it, or maybe somebody wants to change their decoration. They've had their tree
Yeah.
for 25 years and they decided they want to go a little different route. It's not so much all at once. And well, there's specialty Christmas stores. I mean, we know that around up north, in places, and people still shop there all the time. So I think it's an option. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you don't want to, then don't. But but for those that are,
I mean, we just bought a new home in February, and so I've been buying Christmas stuff since it came out just because I want to decorate the new house. I just bought another tree 2 weeks ago.
Look
There
at
you
you.
go. There you
Right
go.
there, look.
There you go.
Perfect
I'm
example.
There you go.
Right there.
But,
Let's use
yeah.
her as our.
Yeah.
You just did it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that there's one of our regular customers over here that I talk to, and since the pandemic, she said one thing that I did for myself is I keep my Christmas tree up year round just to remind me to, life will be okay. And things, and it's just because Christmas makes her happy. And so with all that's going on in the world, at home, she's happy. So that's good. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Not at all. Not at all. All right. Well, thank you for the updates and information. We want to know for sure. All right, Amber, let's jump in here. And from the middle school over at Eastern School Corporation, what a beautiful corporation. And we were just talking about all the great people over there and all the great things you got going on. But let's find out. So it's been kind of a different. I don't think we've talked since the pandemic.
I don't think so. No, it's been a little hectic.
Yeah, and as principal, that's
Yes,
kind of a lot.
yes.
You kind of, you kind of got a lot going on as principal.
Yes. So, last year I think it was just so sudden and just kind of surviving day by day. Just it kind of feel like that kid that got thrown in the deep end and you're just trying to find the edge of the pool. Kind of all year last year, and I think we all had a little hope that this year would not be like that. That we made it through last year, and this year we can find some normalcy.
Was it hard to keep the morale up?
Yes.
Let's talk about well, as a principal, you know what I mean? Because like in education, I mean, you've done years of education to get where you're at, and nobody's seen anything like this. So let's talk about that and morale, keeping everybody, because you kind of the captain there. I mean, of your building, of your group.
It was really rough because you feel like you're prepared and you've done this job for so long, but it's not just the fact that all of a sudden you've been put in an environment that's totally different. I mean, everybody struggles with change. Educators are probably some of the most flexible people, just because, especially when you're living in a middle school, you got to be flexible.
Because the middle college.
During middle school, a lot goes on. Those kids, there's a
that's
lot
right.
going on.
You never know what's going to happen.
That's why we stay close, because we know we remember each other in middle school.
But you never know what's going to happen on any given day in a middle school.
Yeah.
Anything could happen. Anything could go wrong. And educators are very great about being flexible and understanding all of that. But when this hit, it was like everything you knew about how to teach, no matter how long you've been doing it, changed. And so you're living in this world where you're trying to adapt to all of this change. But the kids, on top of that, I think the layer that really just was overwhelming was the kids. And the isolation, I think, from being out of school for so long, starting back in the spring of 20, missing that whole last 9 weeks, and then being virtual so much throughout the year last year, and just the isolation that you could feel. The kids, just not having that social time with their friends, and even last year, the kids didn't switch classrooms because we were trying to cut back on contact tracing. There was this contact tracing protocol in place, and if a kid switches 7 periods a day, you're quarantining 25 kids if somebody tests positive, at least, minimum. Whereas if you keep them in one room all day long, you're maybe going to quarantine 4. So at the middle school, we kept kids in one room last year just to try to keep more kids at school, to not quarantine as many. But I said at the end of last year, we won't do that again. Even if we got to quarantine more, but middle school kids were not made to be in one room with the same people all day.
Oh, yeah.
And you learn a lot.
Especially if it's their parents or caregiver when they're doing learning and not in school.
It's just, it was overwhelming last year. So I think we all felt like coming into this year, hey, it's going to be different. It's going to be better. And, one thing we did kind of just to get the staff fired up and excited. Of course, we weren't able to spend a lot of our PD budget last year for professional development to send teachers to conferences and whatnot because we weren't supposed to travel with the COVID restrictions. So I was able to use my PD budget, and we kind of had a teacher retreat this summer. I just kind of used that budget. And this summer, if you feel comfortable, come on, we're just going to spend some time together and get excited about the new school year. That helped a lot. I feel like we just to be together and not be thinking about that stuff over the summer and getting excited about something instead of the what we dealt with the year before. But then coming in to this year, the night before school started, Washington County goes red. And it's like, you got to be kidding me. This is a joke.
Yeah.
Like
what? Wait, what? Yeah.
I feel like on that night, it was like 10 o'clock that night, all the administrators were texting each other because we had all these huge plans for the first day of school. Yeah. Of course, at the middle school, we've got the house choosing ceremony on the first day, and we've got all this cool stuff where we're all together. And Washington County goes red. So we're all texting each other the night before, and I think, there's a part of me that just, everybody kind of wanted to just throw their hands up. But I'm very fortunate to have the staff that I do and the support that I have to try and think outside the box. And, Dennis laughs at me because no doesn't necessarily mean no. It just means we got to come up with a different way to do it. And so, we put these protocol and stuff in place. So to me, it's almost just more of a challenge. Okay, so what do we do? So teaching professional development. We became STEM certified last year in the midst of a pandemic.
That's awesome.
We got our STEM certification. So I think the closest middle school to us that is STEM certified is over an hour away. Lots of Indiana schools up north around Purdue, that engineering area. Lots of STEM schools up there, not in the South. We did not have a lot of STEM certified schools down here. So we got that last year. Really excited about it. Michael Gillum has taught at the middle school for years. And he has become our STEM guru. He's visited a lot of really cool STEM schools over the summer, figuring things out. We are in the middle of a big building project. They're building a huge new cafeteria that the middle school and high school share. So as of next school year, my current cafeteria, we are calling the STEM Mecca.
Nice.
Michael is decking it out. We've got lots of Oculus sets, Z-Space, 3D printers, all kinds of cool stuff the kids can use. But you get that stuff to train every teacher how to use all of that technology is a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
So we kind of came up with the plan. Michael Gillum, he's going to be our STEM guru. He's going to learn how everything works. He's going to learn all of the curriculum for every classroom, and then he's just going to come with the equipment until we get that STEM Mecca completed, and then the teachers can take their kids down there and do really cool stuff. I know I've got a 5th grader at home. We were in the van on the way home, and he's like, "Mom, I want to go water today." It was the craziest thing. But they were using the Oculus set and the 3D, the reality, alternate reality. It was just, he was so excited that it went with their science class and what they were doing. So really excited about that with Michael. But thinking outside the box here to figure things out, teachers do need to be trained on this. We've got to have time to figure that out.
Yeah.
So back pre-COVID, and some things I will say, COVID has made us think and come up with things even better than before.
Very creative.
Pre-COVID, if I needed to teach my teachers how to use Oculus sets, I would get subs for the whole 5th grade. 5th grade would have subs that day. 5th grade teachers have a training on Oculus sets. Well, there are no subs anymore. You can't get them. I mean, like everybody, with shortages in the workforce.
Oh, yeah,
we can't
absolutely.
Get subs. So think about that. How do I train teachers now? So starting October the 29th, I'm going to have a 4-day kids conference. So I'm going to take the kids one grade level each day instead of getting subs. We're going to do a kids conference. So think about like if we go to a conference, there's keynote speakers, there's breakout sessions, there's all kinds of cool stuff. So instead of kids just getting a sub for the day while their teachers go learn the new technology, the kids are going to have their own conference.
Nice. That's
so there'll be
awesome.
Speaker. There's going to be 6 breakout sessions. One of the breakouts is just going to be high school readiness. What is a GPA? What are credits? What's Prosser? What types of diplomas can I get? That's one breakout. Another breakout will be vaping. And just the harms that come with that, and
which
knowledge.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
one of the breakout sessions is going to be career options. What's out there. One of the breakout sessions, I got a high school panel of students coming down. What I wish I would have done in middle school differently.
Oh, that's really that's
so
that's awesome.
The kids are going to have like a full day conference while my teachers learn how to use the Oculus set. So that's something that we wouldn't have done pre-COVID. We would have gotten subs for the teachers to learn. So I will say there are some cool things. If you just really have to think hard. Outside the box on how this stuff's going to work. So we're still going to have Mason Shake this year. We didn't get to do it last year. We are doing it this year, November 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th. The kids are so excited. You don't realize how much they did enjoy it until we don't have it. My current 8th graders got to do that stuff in 5th grade and part of 6th grade.
Yeah.
You don't realize this year's 8th graders haven't had a normal year since 5th grade.
Wow. And you guys are the ones that brought that to our county, right? You guys were, there's a lot of things. And I think, one thing that one of my mentors always said is great leaders lead through change, not because of change. And I think that's one thing that you exhibit. But I think East Washington has always been kind of, what can we do better? How can we think ahead? And I think in some ways, for the pandemic, you guys were prepared because you were already doing more with, if students had to be out of the building for snow. Then we worried about snow days, right? And now, so I think that culture. So is that something that you rely on to kind of help you through those challenging times and say, does that help you motivate your staff? We got this. Look what we've always done. Look how we've always been leaders.
Sometimes you forget that staff needs that. So you're just constantly pushing forward. But we did make a comment a couple weeks ago. We were sitting down and we're always looking at what can we do better. Of course, what you hear mostly from the community is not always the positive. Because
armchair quarterbacks don't always have that positive perspective.
And you see the comments on Facebook, and you see, you hear those phone calls and the complaints and all that kind of stuff. And to tell my staff, a couple weeks ago, we were talking about this in a meeting, and I said, guys, it feels like we're drowning right now. I know it does. But I do network with a lot of other administrators from other schools. We've been one-to-one for 5 years. completely one-to-one for 5 years. And I am friends with other administrators. The pandemic forced them to go one-to-one. They were never one-to-one before COVID. And could you imagine? Could you imagine if we hadn't already been doing this for as long as we have? And I told them, I said, I want everybody to stop and think.
Explain what one-to-one is for
every
the,
student having a device that goes through every night.
Right. Yeah.
Which seems okay, but there's so much that goes with that.
yeah, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Yes.
But I told him, I said, I want everybody to think back. I think maybe it's been 6 years ago now. We went one-to-one and we started doing virtual days for snow days. So I want you to think of 6 years ago. Think about that first lesson plan that you ever made for a snow day. What was that lesson plan? And they're all sitting there like, oh my God, I'm embarrassed. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Think about how far we've come in 6 years. And there, there are other schools out there that are where we were 6 years ago. They've never done this before, and they're just now trying to figure it out. So, you do feel you're always pushing, you're always trying to think outside the box, but sometimes you do have to kind of step back and say, we're okay. We're going to make it. And not to say there's not going to be bumps in the road. There is always room for growth, 100%.
So, because, like leader, like on the e-learning, you were hitting e-learning, when others were trying to figure it out. So that really prepared you for the virtual. I mean, don't you feel?
Absolutely.
There's a difference, but it really prepared you. You guys have always done real well in that, and that's always been. And you have brought a lot of, from the amazing shake to, a lot of great ideas, Amber, and that's been you. So I'm going to give you.
Some ideas are taken and crafted into our own version or something.
Well, I know, but that's we got to give you a big shout out.
And I think another thing that's interesting like that is you guys you were talking about networking, but you guys are always willing to share the things that work, or hey, this is great. Why you're willing to pass that on. You don't do new things or try new stuff and then keep it for yourself. Because
we're all. If you become an educator, you did it for kids. And it doesn't matter where those kids are, or if they're necessarily yours or not. Yeah. Mm-hmm. If it's good for one kid and it's good for yours, then that's the whole reason. I hope everyone got into education.
So let's go back. I should have led with this, but your middle school is from 5th to 8th, or 5th. You go from 5th grade to 8th grade.
Okay. 4 grades.
Okay. So in that's when a student is really. That's a huge growth.
Have mercy. Yes.
You look at when you walk in the door as a 5th grader, as you leave as an 8th grader. There's a huge
big things happen.
Yes, and the big emotions come with that.
The drama, the crisis, the sky is falling. And or sending notes back and forth to each other. In between classes.
I wish it was still notes.
Yeah. Well. I guess. True. There's.
Tonight.
No. Yes.
True.
Yes.
But and you're talking about a big growth from 5th grade to 8th grade, and with that, have you always loved this age group?
No.
No, because
I taught high school. I come from a high school background.
Oh wow! So
I taught 7 years of high school.
Oh wow, that's a big difference.
Before I came to the middle school, so I learned to love them quickly. Though those 5th graders scared me at first. Just a little. And they all wanted to hug me.
Yeah. It's like,
I was not used to
Yeah. I'm a people person, but wait a minute. Yeah. And then you're just like, and then their emotions change halfway through 5th grade, 6th grade.
I don't think there's any time in a person's life, other than maybe 0 to 3, when they change more in that amount of time in middle school. They change so much from the time we get them until they leave.
Well, I've heard a lot of teachers say that middle school is the most challenging. Because it is the biggest growth. Like in elementary, you're kind of getting it, and they're gentle and kind of on that. And in middle school, you're trying to figure yourself out. You're trying to get prepared, ready for high school, and you feel like you're bigger, but you're but you're not quite the big step you think you are.
Yeah, I feel like middle schoolers would be just tough. They're tough.
Some days, but somebody's
got through all those awkward stages.
But it's rewarding. It's rewarding when you.
Somebody's got to love them. That's what I say. Somebody's got to love these kids. It's like we got to get them through it.
That's right.
And you know, if
Hats
that's
off
where
to
we're-
yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
we can put, but it. What I love about middle school kids, there's still that little bit of innocence and childlike nature there. Like you can still see it.
Oh yeah.
But they're also starting to get funny.
Oh,
Like they're also
I bet they
starting
are
to
hilarious. Yeah.
understand sense
Yeah.
of humor,
Yeah.
and they get my sarcasm a little bit
See,
sometimes.
there you go.
You know, they
Yeah.
do laugh at my
Yeah.
jokes.
That's a win. That's a win right there.
Well, they get, high school they get kind of get that too cool. You know what I mean, right?
Or
But-
nothing you say is hilarious.
yeah, it's
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't mention my name or that you even know me,
Yeah.
let alone related to me.
But you can have fun in middle school.
Yeah,
And
I
you have
agree. I
to
agree.
be a middle school teacher, I think, an educator in middle school, you have to be a little crazy. You have to be willing to make a fool of yourself.
Yeah.
You have to be able to meet them where they are. I feel like teachers kind of, their personalities mimic the grade they teach. I remember, going through my postgraduate classes and stuff in college, and you had the elementary teachers almost always sitting in the front of the room. And if the professor asked a question, they're all raising their hand, and they're sitting. The high school teachers normally were in the back of the room for all of my classes, just kind of lounging in their chairs, like how much longer until I can get out of here. I feel like
That is
teachers
great.
kind of mimic the grade that, like, they relate to them.
That's
And so
hilarious.
middle school teachers have to
Yeah.
be a little nuts.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
no, I think it's great.
Yeah.
I mean, Brad, we'd probably fit right in there. You know?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
They would
Yeah.
probably think we're funny, so we
Yes.
love that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, I
Yeah, because there's a sophomore that doesn't think I'm funny.
no, once they're in high school.
Yeah. You're funny, but I'm not.
Well,
You know.
Oh, he thinks I'm funny.
Yes.
That's
Well,
great.
Becky's funny. Yeah.
It's hard to be,
Yeah.
in your own.
Yeah. I know. It's like,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I get
Yeah.
taken. My girls would say, yeah, they would say you're funny, not me. But Amber, going back on the middle school and all that, but there's so many, but it is so many growth and so much. Okay, like your elementary school and what they're doing that is getting them ready to learn, and then you're just taking it. It's like I think like a relay team, and it's so important to keep them interested in that, and also realize that this is forming their high school career.
High school's, not that middle school doesn't matter. Middle school absolutely matters. It's critical. High school, though, is, that's where credits become essential. That's where, if you can't, if you're not going to pass in high school, you can't just move forward.
Right.
That's credits. And so middle school is so crucial because they got to be ready for that.
Well, and you got to keep that fire going.
Yes.
You got to keep that, you know what I'm saying, where they don't get burnt out or where they don't get, middle school is like you got a huge responsibility to keep them still interested and still going strong and to even get more excited when they hit high school, right?
Yes.
Keep that fire going.
Yeah, it's absolutely, like I said, it's critical that they are ready for high school when they leave us.
Yeah.
And to instill that in them, that this is not just, we're not making it up, guys.
Yeah.
You do have to pass, you have to do these things, but I've got a great staff. And
Yeah, you do.
what I'm so blessed with is, like, again, in middle school, sometimes you gotta be a little spontaneous, you gotta be flexible, and that can be hard when you're going to work every day and then somebody just throws something new at you all the time. But what I love so much about where I am and the staff that I have is I throw something new at them, and somebody's looking at me like, what in the world is that gonna learn? But they do it every time. They have never failed me, and coming out on the other side of last year, it just kind of really makes you step back a little bit and realize what you have, and what we had pre-COVID that we are working so hard now to bring back. At the end of last year, I met with every class of 7th graders that were going to be my 8th graders this year, and we just talked very candidly. And I told them, guys, we've gone a year without the fun stuff. We didn't really do house stuff this year. We didn't do the amazing shake. We didn't get to. I'm going to work really hard to think outside the box and figure out how to bring it back next year. But you're going to be my 8th graders. You will make or break it. So we need to have a very honest conversation right now. If we bring all this back next year and I work myself into the ground figuring it out and I get all the teachers on board, are you going to kill it or are you going to build it up? Do you want it or not? And I wish I would have almost just recorded that conversation just so I can play it back throughout
Mhm.
the years of the passion that they had for, no, we want this for our school. Miss King, we will support you. We'll do whatever we have to do to make sure it comes back. And reminding them of that this year, because the 8th grades are the cool kids. They're the ones that, if they're too cool for it, it's not going to work.
Right.
And my fear was we had built the culture over several years. But that first year we ever started doing all this stuff, it was tough because the 8th graders were a little too cool.
Mm-hmm.
But to have those conversations now and for my kids to be that passionate about it, and they have. I mean, we had an athletic house competition the Friday before fall break. And it's the first house anything we had done in almost 2 years. And just the energy. And those kids, we've never had kids paint their faces like that for a house competition. I mean, they had flags, they brought drums, they were yelling, they were screaming, they were just the energy and the excitement to finally do something like that.
It was a couple years all built up, right?
It
So
was like we had been waiting
Yeah.
and waiting for this moment to get back to doing something like that. And just the joy that I left with on that day, and that we can do this.
Yeah.
We can bring it back, and the kids are supportive of it. We're on the same team. I love it.
Yeah.
When we're all on the same team.
Yeah, exactly.
So how cool is that as the leader of your team to know that prior to everything going on, your school system had a great culture of, doing the stuff. And when you went to the students and said, we want to bring this back, how did that make you feel that the students are like, even though we've been through all this, our culture is still the same. We still want that same culture.
I don't think they wanted it. I don't think we had it last year. And that was a struggle.
I was talking about culture pre-pandemic, So,
but the fact that they wanted it back so badly, just I don't know. It's just kind of that full circle moment where previously I felt like the staff worked so hard and to drag the students along to build this culture, and now it's the students saying, "I'm willing to drag anybody along to get it back." And the fact that we're having the amazing shake again. And just doing this stuff again. I'm really excited for the kids conference. Yeah. We've never done that before. But I've got lots of outside guests and stuff coming in to do these breakout sessions so that my teachers can get their PT while we're doing that. But I'm really excited to see how kids conference goes.
Yeah.
Just to get them fired up even more. And,
so during the pandemic and having, because I think we're getting tired of even talking about it anymore. It's like it's such a if you're in a circle or a group of people and somebody starts mentioning, you're like, well,
Yeah.
So I know we are, but let's how did the teachers get the students motivated? I mean, was it important for you to relay to them how important it is that they stay in touch with their students? Trying to be for the virtual learning.
It's a really big struggle because when they're not sitting in front of you, you don't have a lot of control.
Right.
And we did not have nearly the percentage of students participate in virtual learning that I would have wanted last year.
Yeah, I think that's a lot.
We had a lot of kids just basically going virtual was like having another Christmas break or another little mini summer vacation. They just didn't do anything. And then when we would come back to school, the kids who did the work were ready to roll. They were ready to move on. And the teachers had put so much time and effort into all these virtual lessons. Stephanie Richardson has been a middle school teacher for me for the last several years. We actually taught together at the high school level in a different county. And then she ended up coming to Eastern with me a few years ago and has been teaching at the middle school. This year, Mr. Stockdale took her because he likes to find my gyms and take them to the district level.
Yeah.
So he took Stephanie. This year's the district level, but she has been kind of the head of our virtual learning and what we're doing. And the resources she has provided have been absolutely phenomenal. I don't want any other school corporation really to know how good she is.
We can edit that out. We'll take her name out of there.
She's been phenomenal. And what she's done with the teachers to create these virtual lessons and these videos and using all these tools and resources, it's just been amazing what Stephanie's done. But when the teachers have put in that much effort and you have this group of kids that come back, they have done the work and they're ready to move on, but you can't. because you have all these kids who didn't do anything, and they hold everybody up. It's frustrating. So we did something actually this school year. Thank God we've only been virtual 6 days this year, and I hope we are virtual no more. But the 6 days that we were virtual this year, we sat down and had a very real conversation, and just I kind of on a whim, the day we found it was a Friday, we found out we were going to go virtual at like noon. So on a whim, I called each grade level down to the cafeteria individually, and we had a pep talk. And I told them all that I was going to cut a deal with them because I was so appreciative of the kids who do all of their work.
Mm-hmm.
So I told them we're going to reward those kids for the 6 days that we were virtual. We know it's going to be 6 days. You have 7 classes per day that you are responsible for. We don't have study halls or anything anymore. It's 7 classes for every kid. If you do 90% or more of all of the work in all 7 classes for all 6 days, I will throw a field day for those students when we get back. The students who don't complete 90% of their work in all 7 classes on all 6 days will sit in the school, and they will do it all in that day. So that when my kids who did it come back from the field day, we're all on the same page and we're ready to move forward and learn again. And we had a lot more students complete their work on virtual this time. So I hate to stoop to bribery.
No, never, no.
But
No.
it was very
An
effective.
incentive, that's
Mhm.
always good.
Yeah.
It was very effective in getting a much higher percentage of our students to complete the virtual work and to actually learn along with the teacher each day. And then we had our big field day when we
What's
came
a field
back.
day? What do you do?
I just kind of set up the football field. We had cross net set up. We had wiffle ball. We had kickball. We had just all kinds of different stuff. We had jam. We had like 10 cornhole sets. Just all kinds of stuff set up, and they just get the whole day outside to play with their friends.
That's a win-win right there. It's a win-win.
There's not a lot of funds in public education, so
Sadly,
it didn't cost me a dime. Staff just brought in their cornhole sets and their outdoor games, and we set them all up on the football field. And then the staff rotated, being inside and outside, so that all of the teachers were inside at least part of the day to work with those students who didn't have their work completed to help them get finished and answer their questions. And it really was effective in getting a lot more participation in this class. So, I really think that if we do have to go virtual again, we will continue to do something like that. I don't know how. Again, I'm going to think outside the box. I could do it this time because the weather was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah.
And we could go outside
Right.
with all of the COVID guidelines in place. We can't do a lot of stuff like that indoors anymore, where we all get together. Dance party would be great. I cannot wait to have a dance again. But it will take more creativity. The weather's cold.
The school dances are kind of a rite of passage,
Oh,
and there's just that whole thing. So I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit. So even, and you don't have to just think about during a pandemic, but as an educator, as an administrator, what do you think is the biggest misconception that parents have about how their kids are being educated?
Oh my!
Because you hear a lot about that. And Becky and I, we're huge advocates for teachers and administrators because you guys do amazing work every day, but there's those armchair quarterbacks out there, like I said, whether it's during a pandemic or just regular school times, that they're always second guessing. What do you think are some of the biggest misconception that some parents have that can lead to some of that?
I think what I would just want parents to know is that we love our kids. We are very protective of our kids, and we love our kids. I joke with our students. Yeah, we kind of have this Harry Potter-esque thing going on. My intention was never Harry Potter. We are the Musketeers. The Musketeers are in castles. So that's why we have a castle. My intention was never Harry Potter.
Yeah.
But we kind of have, because we painted the school like a castle now.
Bring in a dragon and I'm coming over, okay?
Yeah, there has been, well, that's another story for another day. But I tell the kids, I say, if you've watched Harry Potter, in that last movie, when Voldemort's coming down on Hogwarts, Professor McGonagall is standing in front of the castle, and she's got her wand up in the air.
I'm getting
I,
chills.
I don't know exactly what she says, but it's something along the line, not my kids, not today, or something like that. And I tell my students all the time, if you think for a second that anybody in this building wouldn't do that, you're wrong. You are our kids. We love you. Sometimes that love is tough love. But if Voldemort was coming down on this castle, any one of us would be standing in that parking lot doing everything we could to protect you. And I think that gets lost a little bit. Kids, especially in middle school, their perception is reality.
Oh,
And I talk to my staff about that. There are kids that are going to think you hate them. And their perception is their reality. And that reality becomes true for their parents. And there does have to be tough love. We have to hold them accountable. Some kids aren't used to that.
yeah.
No, and sometimes that is construed as we don't care.
Yeah.
But we do, very, very much.
Yeah.
And you couldn't do this job if you didn't love kids. Right?
Yeah.
You just couldn't.
Well, Amber, and it shows, and we know that. I just think it's that, like Brad, I'm so glad Brad brought that up, because it's so important for that to just be reminders of the parents. There's not a teacher one that when you sign up to be a teacher, you're in it for the kids, you're in it for the right reasons. We have so many beautiful, wonderful teachers, and I think sometimes we forget that. We forget that
Yeah.
This is not the ideal situation. Everybody's trying to do the best they can do.
And I always tell parents too, anytime we have a student parent meeting or anything like that, I tell them, parents, I think sometimes they don't want to be a bother. They hear of something, they're worried about something, it's getting under their skin, but they don't want to bother anybody, so they don't call or they don't tell us. And they wait until the moment they're boiling before they call and let us know something. And I always tell parents, please don't boil first. If there's something you're worried about that you think is happening in this building, don't assume that I know and I'm ignoring you. I don't know everything. There are 450 kiddos in this building.
Yeah.
I don't know everything that's going on. If there's something happening, we actually want you to call.
Right.
I would actually rather you give me the opportunity to put the fire out before you get to a boiling point.
Yeah.
Or
And
something
Facebook
like
is
that.
not the place
No,
to
Well,
yeah.
I think too. I read, and I think it's so important for the parents and the teachers to have that. We talk about raising a village, and to have that relationship, with your teacher. We could pick up the phone, and I know raising 6 daughters, I talk to their teachers often, and there wasn't anything that pretty well couldn't have been understood or explained when we had our conversations. You know what I mean? There wasn't anything, and you could stop it right there before it goes any further.
Right.
You can nip it right there. Right. And I think that's important, that relationship.
When we're talking about raising up middle school kids, we have to be on the same team. We can't have the parents on one team and the teachers on another team.
Because at that age, they know how to divide and conquer. They really do. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, I just know that,
I want to be on the same team. Right.
And I've always had an appreciation for teachers and stuff, but during the pandemic stuff, I'll tell you, if a parent did not come out of that being appreciative for a teacher, then there's no hope, I think. That's kind of the way I feel, and I'm not trying to oversimplify that, but it's just one of those things. But you've got to be, kids are tough anyway, but you got to have that unified front. But sadly, we do have kids in our community and other communities that don't have that support at home, and that is very tough. And it's tough. So hats off to all the educators who is the, you guys sometimes are the sole support system that those kids have. And so I think that does go back to what you said, that, teachers are in it because they love the kids. They love what they do. And that's the best thing that you could have. When you love what you do and you're passionate about what you do, you make a difference. You may not see it right away, but Becky and I both, we have educators that, I can pinpoint a couple of different educators that my career path would have taken I would not be sitting here as doing what I'm doing with the company that I'm doing it for if it wasn't for a couple of teachers that said, these are your options, don't,
Yeah.
So,
I don't know how much time we have, but I do have two really cool things I wanted to make
No,
sure.
no,
I mentioned.
oh, yeah, no, no.
Yeah.
One exciting piece of news. East Washington Middle School, we now have our own dog. So her name is Pym, P-Y-M. She's named after a Marvel character. She is a 10-week-old golden retriever. She started her classes last week to be a licensed therapy dog. And she
How
met
cool
all
is
of the kids
that?
yesterday for the first time. The kids are over the moon. She is the cutest little fluff ball you have ever seen. She has her own Facebook page. It is called Pym the Future Therapy Dog, where they're posting lots of pictures of her getting acclimated to the students and all of that kind of stuff. But right now she's coming 2 days a week. But it takes 1 year to become an official licensed therapy dog. So in 1 year, she will have her license and everything complete, and she'll be at school every day, just working with kids and being around and just being her therapy dog. So we are really excited about Pym right now.
Where does Pym live whenever Pym is not at school?
So one of my guidance counselors, Bree Price, has taken this on. So she actually lives with Bree and her husband.
Okay.
So Bree, she goes home with Bree every night, and then Bree will bring her back during the day.
And she visits like each classroom?
She can. I mean, obviously there are some people who don't love dogs. Some people have allergies, that kind of stuff. So we've got all that into account. So if she's not in a classroom, that's why. But yeah, she'll be in most of the classrooms. She'll be walking around the cafeteria, just hanging out. She was all over the place yesterday. Like I said, yesterday was her first day she met the kids.
Oh.
She's just this 10-week-old, absolutely adorable little golden retriever.
Oh my goodness.
But so we're really excited about Pym.
Golden retrievers are amazing. I had one for 16 years. Amazing.
It's so cool though when you see kids that normally don't smile a lot, and then the puppy comes down the hallway and they're just like, oh my! Their whole face just lights up. I told Bree, the counselor at the end of the day yesterday, I said if there was any doubt in my mind that this was a crazy idea, that was a bad one, it's gone. Because yesterday, after seeing those kids with that puppy, this is just a happy making thing.
Puppies do that. Dogs do that.
Oh, yes,
And
yes.
she's only going to get better.
Yes.
I mean, they're only going to keep loving her more.
Yeah. So we're really excited about our new puppy.
That's cool.
Congratulations.
That is awesome. I love that. I love that. Yeah.
And then our other big news, our theater department is back in action.
Amazing.
East Washington Middle School, the first weekend in November, so we've got 2 weeks, is performing Annie.
Oh,
It's going to be awesome.
If they've not got to lead roles, the son of
I was gonna say. I think Becky knows that word for word. Yeah, I'm already almost got the completely bald head right now. So yeah.
Tomorrow. Right now, I'm going to try out. Okay.
That would be.
Well, they've been working really hard. This is a middle school production. But when you go to our middle school productions, you would never believe it's much middle schoolers. I mean, Veronica does an
She's amazing. She's amazing. She's amazing. Yes, we're huge fans of both of them, and it's amazing.
So Annie, how wonderful. I love that.
So Annie will be performed. It's that first weekend in November. November, I think it's 4th, 5th, and 6th. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There'll be a production Friday night at 7, Saturday night at 7, and I think Sunday at 2. So it'll be three showings. Tickets are on sale online right now on our Facebook page. So
And your
really
theater
excited
is
about
gorgeous.
it. Yes.
Yes.
Wow. I mean, it is just so nice. That is just, very blessed you are. That is just really.
So we can, we talk about all this, the hard times and what's happened. I really feel like we're coming out on the other side of it, and there's so many cool things happening right now. And just, between the STEM certification and the therapy dog and the Amy production and the Amazing Shake and the kids conference, and there's a lot of cool stuff happening again.
See how
I'm
excited.
excited.
Get up over there.
Keep them on their toes. If they don't know what's coming next, their attendance is better.
There you go. See again, incentive, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I love that. That's wonderful. So I think it's fantastic. And of course, the middle school is such a big time from 5th to 8th, and you got a lot of kids. You got a lot of ground to cover there. But you're doing a wonderful job. So I'm so glad you came in.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we haven't talked to you in a moment. I know I see the great things you do, and I hear behind your back, people talk wonderful about you.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, no, and actually, when Mr. Stocksdale was here, we actually talked about the fact that we hadn't seen her in a while, and she was one of our,
She's
so
over there. She's
we've been keeping track of you. We've been keeping track of you.
We're gonna have to start coming to you because you're too busy.
Hey, I will throw that plug out there any day of the week. I am always looking for somebody that wants to volunteer, that wants to help out. Like the Amazing Shake takes so many volunteers.
Oh, we love it.
And so if anybody out there is interested in volunteering or helping pull all this crazy stuff off, you can find me at the middle school.
I hope
we talk about that all the time. So I mean, you can sign me up. I'll sweep the floor if you want me to sweep the floor. Help you guys out. I mean, I don't know. Well, I have a 15-year-old I can consult on that because there's some acting going on sometimes at the house.
If you need stage movers, we'll do that. We don't care.
Especially
if you got a T-shirt for us.
I just need personalities. I need judges and personalities.
Well, we had a blast, and I'm going to tell you, and this one sticks out in my mind, and I hope this isn't off color because it was received. The way I received it was it just will forever be in my mind. That they had to explain if I can remember this right, something they depict, and they had to explain why it was the way it was. Okay. So the big topic, have I told you this, Amber, for hearing this for the 100th time? Brad probably is too. But it's just the best thing. So this young man, just outstanding, so polite, everything was wonderful, and he was upset. I couldn't believe he couldn't believe that people don't flush toilets. This just was his little bit of this bugged him. That when he walked in.
Isn't that part of the Musketeer?
There's a rule in the creed.
Yeah. So
So this was just something that
I thought I remembered that.
But I busted out when he said what was really his bugging his pet peeve. Okay. So he came to the conclusion. So he'd studied this. Okay? He'd studied this, that we have the toilets that flush automatically, so people don't flush like they used to.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't think they have to.
Right.
Yes.
And so we've got to have it that the toilets that still do need to be flushed don't get flushed.
Yeah.
And this was, he went on
he's
in
a very
about this. I was like, you need to run for president.
Yes.
This is like, for you to have a subject that really bugs you, for you to do the research and come to the conclusion of why we are doing this and why it's being done this way. Amber, I was just like,
well, I tell you what, if you are losing hope in the youth of today, if you feel like this generation is just going to heck in a handbasket, come to the Amazing Shake.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
So many employers come and do these interviews and talk to these kids, and at the end of the day, they're always telling me, I would hire them tomorrow.
Yeah.
They're amazing. And they just had to be trained.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So if you're losing faith, come to the Amazing Shake.
I
change your mind.
I agree with that too.
I walked away totally blown away.
Yeah.
That young man has made such an impression. I've sat in many conferences that I've not been so impressed. And of course I love everything about that. That he, you always sit down like at a meeting, you have a problem. Well, then what is our solution? What can we do to and that was, he came up with that. Why human nature is doing this now. Right.
Well, I got to do an interview. My portion, I was lucky enough to get an interview. The HR guy was excited about that. But my favorite was this young lady that she introduced herself, and they shook their hands. All of them did. But I just asked her, so what do you want to do, with your life going forward? And she said, and she did not pause even. She looked me right in the eye and said, someday I'll have your job. And then she told me about how great Walmart is, but she particularly, I'm glad Walmart is here, but I'm going to have your job. And I thought that was awesome. I just love that. And it's just like,
are we good?
Yeah. Well, I keep looking. I asked her name and wrote it down. I keep looking for her application. But no, I'd hire her in a heartbeat. Absolutely. But I just remember that. But like you said, just if you lose faith, just these kids will, I'm like, there's no doubt she will be doing great things.
Right. And then one more story. There was something about these old boots. And of course, I was in sales, and they had market these old boots, and there was this ugly pair of old boots, and they had to sell those boots. And I would have bought those boots any day for those kids. I mean, they were just, Amber, what you do is just, it's just fantastic.
Yes.
Thank you. I
And you
appreciate
do,
that.
like you said, I mean, you're outstanding. They're rock stars over there.
I love my job and
You
I
should.
love my kids.
You
So
should. You're in the right, boy. And Eastern School Corporation is so blessed to have you.
thank
Yes,
you.
they are.
I'm very blessed to be
Absolutely.
there. I get the support for my crazy ideas that I don't know I would get anywhere else.
I love that. No, that's good. That's good. No, it's thinking out of the box and also, and keeping it interesting and fun, but also they're learning.
Right.
Education.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in, and Eastern School Corporation, keep up the great work. And
Don't go so long.
yeah,
next
come
time,
back and
okay?
visit us.
I'll be
Come
back.
back and visit
Yes.
us. Yeah.
Like I said, if you've got a broom for us to sweep,
Yeah,
anything,
we'll-
just
Brad and I will
just-
do whatever.
I'll use you
Just-
for more than that.
Brad and I, we enjoy it. We
Yes.
had a blast. We do.
yeah.
All right, Brad, and keep up the good work over at Walmart. And those sales keep rolling back prices.
Oh yeah, I think I know that we did things last year, but this year really feels like back to how Walmart did holidays, always. But we've got the icing on the cake is that we are closed Thanksgiving for our associates to spend the day with their family and things like that. But this year it really is starting to feel again like we are celebrating and we're ready to go. So Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, come see us.
Absolutely. All right, let's take our phone.
All right, we've got Walmart, Meadowview, Salem Crossing, Hoosier Uplands, Kentuckiana Cat and Core Recycling, Dr. Black's Eye Associates, Dr. Mindy Gunn, and Celebrity Home Loans.
All right, happy Wednesday, everyone.
This is Brad Mills from the Salem Card Show, inviting everyone out to our next show on October 30th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Washington County Fairgrounds 4-H building. We'll have over 45 tables of sports cards, sports memorabilia, and non-sports cards such as Pokemon. Admission is free. Come out and buy, sell, or trade. Kids get to trick or treat. Don't forget to follow us on all your social media platforms at Salem Card Show.
Hi, I'm Quinn Buck, a proud member of the American Senior Community Corps. On the court, I've seen my fair share of victories, but as a nation, we now see